Hi, Jody.
Hi, Sarah. How are you today?
Good. We're back again for our second podcast. We're so thrilled.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So the first podcast, we talked about the exciting September 14th Live for Live event that's coming up. So
Yes.
please register for that, sponsor and support and volunteer. So thank you so much. Now we want to dive into some of the various signs that people can encounter when they're impacted by domestic violence. So there's several out there. We wanted to cover several key ones that folks should look out for. Let's kick things off. I know you've had a lot of personal experience with this, and you've seen a lot. You've known people that have been impacted as well. So one key one is one of the first signs. Maybe it's jealousy.
Oh,
Can you share a story that you experienced concerning jealousy?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I went away with a friend one weekend, and he made it so miserable because he was so jealous. I never went away with a friend again. I was fortunate that I had a stepdaughter from his previous marriage because he was 9 years older than me. So his daughter was only like, I don't know, say 11 or 12. I forget, like say 12 years younger than me. So anyway, I got to go with her and her friends because my stepdaughter was with them. So I was allowed to do that. But his jealousy about going away was, I just didn't do it again, like I said. But I also tell a story when I speak to kids at the high school sometimes, although not enough high schools, because I met my husband when I was 19. I think it's important to tell the signs of abuse. And one story I tell them now is that I kid around about, because of my age, we didn't have the cell phones that we have today, and we weren't texting, but I said, you could be with your friends getting ready to go out somewhere, a night, and you're having fun getting ready, and you're deciding, you're putting your makeup on and fixing your hair, and you're all deciding what you're going to wear, and but one girl, she's getting a text every 2 minutes, from her boyfriend. Where are you going? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What time? Make sure you call me when you get home. All of that. And, the things you might think it's funny or this guy's crazy about me, but really, no, this guy is so jealous and he wants control over, who you're with and what you're doing. And he's just not loving that you're going out with your friends.
Yeah, and that can be hard to decipher when you're a teenager.
Right.
And you may just be beginning dating and everything. You're excited about this person, and then they're like, oh, where are you going? I think it's cute or something. But It's like, if it's like excessive, like red alert, it's a problem.
Exactly. That doesn't mean this guy's crazy about you. In fact, one sign that I found out that was almost immediate, and I found out later it was abusive, it was about control. We were dating, but we had just started, and we were out with friends, and he said, are you dating anyone else? And, of course I said I was, because, I thought that was good to let him think that. But he said, well, if you're going to date other people, I think we should call it quits right now. So I said, well, I don't have to date other people. And the thing is, later I found out that's not healthy. That is an abusive person that says my way or the highway. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, let's talk about it, I really like you. And when, do you think at some time you'd be, ready to just be boyfriend, girlfriend? Instead of discussing it, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah, and I think among all the signs we're going to talk about today, a key one that I think kind of overarches everything is control.
Yes, exactly.
It just feeds into different categories of how that control, what it looks like and how it impacts you. But it's like they want to control your life because they only want them for themselves. Yeah,
it's just, it is how maybe they were brought up in that type of situation. So, they may have seen it. No one knows, but they say, no one knows the exact reason, but they do say that out of all of these abusive people, that only 5% will ever change. And it takes intense psychological help, whatever you want to call that. But so you think someone will change, and you think it will get better, because very often they call the honeymoon. They'll be abusive physically, emotionally, and then they make it better by being nice for a while, and you think things are getting better, and they do not get better.
Yeah,
they get worse.
Absolutely. I know when my sister passed and I went to the trial, when her boyfriend was indicted and everything, they had to like a medical evaluation on him. And he had like at least 6 different mental disorders that were undiagnosed, because his mom took him to a mental hospital when he was younger under a fake name, because she did not want his records to show he had any prior history. So it can be various factors, mental, chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
Growing up, seeing it, it's like humans are creatures of habit. You do what, you see what you do, or you do what you see, rather.
Right.
So either way, it's just not good and needs to be addressed, but it's just daunting that the 5% you just shared,
yes,
that folks will change. That's like almost 0. Like, that's not close to even 50. Like, I mean, that's like low percentage, like on a risk level,
That's right. You think, I've just read many times, I thought he finally gets it. And as I said, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. I do know someone whose husband wanted so bad to come back, and did go through all of this intense, intense help, mental help, and she went through all this, and she wanted to go back with him because he had put that effort in to change. And one of her daughters was very upset, and actually really wouldn't speak to her, because she couldn't believe that her mom would let him back into their lives. But
wow,
like I said, I think he was one of those 5% of these abusive people. And it doesn't have to be a mental instability issue, if you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, right. You do hear that a lot, though, but that doesn't mean, my husband wasn't diagnosed with any kind of mental disorder, or whatever you want to, I don't know if that's the right word to call it, but, disability, we'll call it. Mm-hmm. So it's all various. I mean, some people drink a lot, and so it could be more intense, but it doesn't mean because they're drinking, that's why they're doing it, because they can quit drinking and it still happens.
It's a choice.
It just is. It's they don't see it for what it is. They blame very often the victim for everything.
Right.
And you start to believe it, so you lose your confidence.
Exactly. And it's like they have no accountability for their actions and what they're doing. I mean, I understand, like, folks may grow up a certain way and see different things, but as you're an adult, I feel like we all have like a right and wrong monitor inside of like, this is what's right. Even as children, they know when they're like trying to do something that's a little, let me just try. I know it's wrong. I'm just going to try it anyway. Like, we have that right and wrong monitor. So, but as you grow up, you know better, you do better. And it's a choice whether you want to do that or not.
Well, or you what I think is that the abusive person is not going to change, and we think they might. So what happens is then we have to decide, am I going to, whether it's get a restraining order or go find, get help somewhere, it's sad to say they don't change. It really is, what am I going to do to get away from this dangerous situation?
You're taking your power back.
Yeah, you have to.
That's what it's about. So we talked about jealousy. Another thing we talked about is like, usually abusers are like very charismatic and everyone likes him, oh, it's such a great guy, you're dating him, this is great, but they're charismatic, but they can be very degrading at the same time, making jokes at your expense.
Yes.
Can you share an example that you've experienced on that?
Yes. First of all, for me, we would be out with friends and at dinner, having a blast, and he was exactly what you just said, the life of the party, the fun guy, the funny guy, so when we were with friends, he was making a lot of jokes, but a lot of jokes at my expense. Oh, she's always late. Oh, you should have seen her closets. I was tripping over her shoes, or just anything, and everyone thought it was a riot. And I knew it wasn't okay. And I went into the restroom because I was so angry. And one of our friends came in and she said, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "Do you not hear what he's doing? I mean, degrading, every joke at my expense." And she's laughing. She's like, "Oh, Jody's so funny. He doesn't, he's just joking." So you start to really question your own judgment and think, well, maybe it's not that bad, or it's me. I'm being too sensitive.
Yeah, because other people don't see it. Because they're only seeing just one aspect of the person.
Exactly.
You see a variety of things that's happening behind the scenes beyond what they're showing everyone else. They're very strategic, and who they show what in terms of their personality and who they are. So,
and very often they're the person that is there, when needed. I know someone that he was into the church, and so volunteered a lot for the church. So, but his wife was home with 4 kids, and this person was out a lot. Or one of the women that I helped was, she had a 2-year-old, and her boyfriend wanted to have a baby, but as soon as she became pregnant, he was never home. And then after baby, he was abusive. And she called me and she started to cry. She said, "I don't want my daughter to live in this." Because that's what happens. It's what you learn. It's how you grow up. That's why I think it's important to talk about it at earlier and earlier ages in the schools.
Yes.
And I mean, I try to, I've gotten into Westford Academy and been able to speak to seniors. And WestfordCAT actually had me this year.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. But, I mean, I need to be out there telling, because, like I said, I was 19. There's a lot of date rape,
Yes.
and other forms of abuse that are happening at young ages.
Yeah, and you're very impressionable at your high school age, right?
Right,
And
you
so
want your friends to like you.
Yeah, you're just starting to date and everything. You're excited. It's a new world. But there's risk out there, and domestic violence is a huge one. And,
really is.
boys and men thinking they can take that sort of control, or teens and men take that sort of control. It's not fair, and you don't deserve it.
Yeah, it's not right. The things that go on are not okay. And, it happens not just in, lower income neighborhoods. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter what your income level is. It doesn't matter what your race is, or, what country you come from, and it doesn't matter what your sexual preference is, or, it's everyone.
Impacts everyone. It can impact anyone.
Absolutely.
Yep. So another thing, financial impact. I mean, that's huge. Your livelihood, making sure, the basic needs, like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You need to eat, sleep, food, be able to do all the things you need to do. Transportation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, what you're saying is what you're saying about that is so true in every aspect. I mean, I would purchase clothes, but I would take the price tag off before I brought them. I mean, I would be nervous in my car and taking them out of the bag and taking the tag off and putting it in my closet. Or if I bought a certain brand of shoes, luckily he didn't know the difference between, the Payless shoe store or, the Prada, which, believe me, I didn't really have money to buy Prada, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Luckily he didn't know. But the fact that you have to hide, that you're afraid to go shopping, and that's, one aspect. I've heard a story about a woman that wasn't allowed to go to work very often because for whatever reason, they want control over funds, they want control over where you go and who you're with. So, just getting a job can be a big deal. So no wonder you don't leave.
It's horrible. It's like you can't be free, and financial
Right.
is a very key aspect of being free and doing
Right.
what you need to do. Not there's needs and then there's wants,
Exactly.
right? And you can't even get the needs as you need to if you maybe you're only given a so-called allowance, which is nuts as an
Right.
adult. It's like, come on, I'm an adult. Are you kidding me?
So it's really true. I mean, it does happen like that. And so part of that is figuring out a way to get out. Like, I've heard of a story once where a woman was literally putting together a bag of, your essentials, so that, and in that bag, you should have, a form of, maybe your passport or something like that to, have. I mean, you're talking about your basic things. She had literally put a bag together with that information, as well as, your, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and she actually had a way with her daughter that if she needed her daughter to come and get her, she would be able to somehow contact her and let her know she was in a dangerous situation.
Wow, and that's such a good way to be able to have an escape plan to get out. I mean,
Yes, have a bag ready.
I had a friend, I'm just remembering this now, that was physically abused. And she had a daughter with an individual, and she left in the middle of the night. She packed herself a bag, took her daughter in the car, and drove several states
Wow.
to get away.
Isn't it too bad? That's what you have to do, though.
Yeah, and she was able to get out. She's now happily married and everything. But that was a very scary time. Her daughter was a baby.
I say anyone that gets out, I say I admire you. You had the strength to do that. And, I just thought I want to get Olivia in college. She was due to go to college. She wanted to go to the University of Vermont. I don't know how I was going to pay for it. But that's what I wanted. I just wanted to see her there. And obviously, I regret that part of it as well, because she didn't make it out of high school. She was so close. And so that's why I say there's no perfect time for it.
Yeah.
But if you know it's not okay, it's like you said, it's not okay.
It's never okay. It's time to leave.
You know.
Sometimes you don't have a ton of time to plan. You may not.
True, very true. But I just remember, why didn't I get in the car and drive to the police station? I mean, I live in Westford. I was closer to the Tingsboro line. Why didn't I drive to the Tingsboro police station? It was up the road from me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I have so many woulda, shouldas, but I don't know. Who would ever think, right?
Yeah, that would even happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's horrific.
So
And
you got to be prepared some way.
Exactly. What you're doing now with Live for Live is incredible.
It's a must. It's a must. It's a mission. I hope to eventually be able to come, have somehow get some sort of multifamily housing where I can let people go through a transition period where they can get a job or, find a place they can afford, So that's my goal, and I need to get it done soon, okay?
Yes.
Not getting any younger.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyone that's out there that knows of some property that is, somewhat affordable, and maybe I can get some sort of, loan for a nonprofit or something like that.
That would be incredible to
Wouldn't
have
it?
somewhere for people to go. I mean, that's huge, and that's going to help so many people. And I love it.
think
I'm
so.
here to help you as always.
Thank you.
So I'm so excited for that too. So what are some other signs? So I know with my sister, I can only contact her during certain times. So she was acting outside of her normal behavior. Like when growing up with her, and even when she moved out on her own and had her own apartment, I could call her, like no big deal. She would answer, we would chat. But when she got into this relationship with her boyfriend, I would say after maybe like maybe the second year or so, because they were together, I think nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't contact her. Like, I'm like, why aren't you picking up your phone? Like, what's going on? Like, usually I can talk to you anytime as long as, you're not actively working or something. But she's like, oh, I can't talk right now.
Yeah.
He's here. I'm like, what does that matter? Like, you live with people. Is there a problem? So she was just acting just not her normal self. So do you have any experience or examples you can share on that?
All I can say is, there's a woman that we've helped recently. Her kids did not know. And she now got out and of a bad situation, thankfully. And I was able to help her with a couple of months' rent to get her into a place. But like I said, she didn't want to tell her kids. She didn't, I don't know, she might have felt embarrassed or I don't really know, because I would tell anyone that asked me.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But I get that. And it happens that, you hear stories about that. You're not allowed to talk to your friends.
Yeah, it's a sensitive subject. People may not always feel comfortable. I mean, that's like a deep subject.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel safe at home.
Right.
Then it's like you're staying there, and then there's a judgment. Why are you still there? And
yeah.
So it's just all you mull over your head over and over again. All these things that people may say. It's like, you know what? None of that matters. Like, transparency is your superpower. Like, honestly, you have to be open with people. Like, that's how you form, connections, really getting to know people, and you should feel safe around, your community of people.
Well, and I mean, I agree 100%. People don't like to talk about it. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and do you hear about that on TV? I mean, it just, because the numbers are so high, the number of victims, yet no one talks about it.
Right.
And that's really a shame, because if you're not sure, you are, either way. Here's the thing, too, is I've talked to, I remember I spoke at something, and a couple of the women came up, and one of them said, I know my daughter is in a situation like that where, he's taken control over everything. Mm-hmm. And I don't hear from her that often on the phone. She said that as well. And she said, I tell my daughter how worried I am, and my daughter is saying, that's not the case, Mom. And she actually was kind of mad at her mother. And people say, what can I do? And I'm like, all you can do is let them know you're there. You know what I mean? Because it's, it's all you can do, because they actually become sometimes angry with you. I talked at the high school, and a boy came up to me and said he had a friend, and she was so angry with him. But you've got to let them know you're there for them if needed, and eventually you might get a call from that person.
And that's great to be so supportive and there for someone. That means a lot. Just having someone you can rely on, outside of your situation that can be there for you. That support system that if you need to flee, you could have somewhere to go, perhaps.
Absolutely. And there again, sometimes you don't have family around, or you've stayed with family a while, and they're ready for you to go. Especially, if you have kids and now you're in your family's home or friend's home or bopped around. I've talked to people that have done that, and that's why it's so important for people to know about the Liv for Liv Foundation, because I will help people get in. You may have a job, but who has first and last month in security deposit, especially if you've been living with someone that had control of the funds.
Right.
So that's why I need people to know about the Liv for Liv Foundation, because that's exactly what I try to do.
That's amazing. I just love it. It warms my heart, to be honest. I just love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Another thing, I think the last thing we wanted to talk about today was the types of abuse in terms of like emotional and physical abuse. Like, I think it's evident to people, of course, there's the physical abuse. You may see women, they try to cover it up with makeup, perhaps, if they're getting hit, in the face, that sort of thing. But something that also is deeply impactful is the emotional abuse, which could then lead to the physical abuse.
Exactly.
Can you talk about your experience with some emotional abuse?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, at the beginning, everything might seem great. That's what I've heard in certain stories, is the person was like the best, best boyfriend. He gave me this, gave me that. He was so nice. Then they got married, and it was totally different. Isn't that crazy? So, and then for like myself, I remember at the beginning of our marriage, my husband bought a car for me. And so now you think he's like this wonderful guy, but then all the other stuff starts to happen. Like I've said, probably it's a pie, and the center of that pie is power and control. And we've talked about some of the slices, and so physical is one slice, and then emotional and abuse the other one can be just as stressful or painful as the other, and eventually lead to, they say that when it becomes physical, when it's getting really bad, they during a fight will try to choke you. That is strangulation is the next step, is like what happened to me.
Wow.
And that night he was choking me.
Oh my goodness.
And then of course then took out his gun and shot us. So I just need people to know, it just one's as impactful and stressful and upsetting as the other, and as we said earlier, it doesn't change. Unfortunately.
It's horrible, but it's key signs to look out for.
Right. And the other thing I'd like to mention today is people say, why don't you leave? It was that bad. Why didn't you leave? Mm-hmm. There's this thought process of that. You say, I didn't leave because I didn't. So unfortunately right now we'll see funds that are being taken away from agencies that provide help or shelters. And because there's the thought, I think, that people should just leave a bad situation. But very often, easier said than done. Yes. And why should you leave? Why do you and your kids have to leave when that person is the abuser?
Right.
So maybe had someone said that to me, I would have got a restraining order.
Yes.
But he was a hunter. I was afraid to get a restraining order because he did have guns in the house.
Okay.
Doesn't mean hunting is bad. Please don't take that that way, because I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily against guns for certain it's hard. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people just assume I'm against guns completely. Well, I'm not actually a favor of guns, but but that needs to be more looked at. Better looked at as a problem in our society.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like every day the TV you hear about people being shot.
Yes.
So
has to be more control over that, over gun control. That's a huge thing.
Right?
But there can be various factors, as you mentioned, him being a hunter, that can go through someone's mind when they are thinking about leaving.
Yes.
And each situation is unique. And that's what makes it difficult. I mean, we're humans. We think. We process, we strategize. So you never know what's going on in someone's house or in their head.
That's right.
So, giving people grace in that area is important. Like, I think showing them love, like, that's what love is about, right?
Absolutely.
Loving and caring for one another and looking out for them too. But it may be hard for someone to make difficult decisions.
Absolutely. Or, you don't want your family to know for whatever reason. Very often people say they're embarrassed or ashamed, or, that they maybe are with this person. I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. Or they're afraid, they need help financially, or they just need someone to listen. And if you're afraid to tell someone because you're embarrassed, it's your safety for you and your kids.
Yeah, and it may feel a bit radical, but tell a stranger. It may be easier to tell a stranger because they don't know you at all.
Right. It's true, though.
You just met them like for a second. Hello, this is my name. I don't feel safe. Can you help me? I mean, legitimately.
Well, if it gets to that point, absolutely. Or even maybe your neighbor.
Yeah. I
mean, I just, friends, family, neighbors, there's support groups out there, actually. I mean, I hope that right now we're reaching someone that knows something isn't okay.
Yes.
Just hope that. And
Yeah, and if you're like a teen in high school,
Yes.
and you don't feel comfortable telling your parents, tell your counselor.
Right,
At school,
exactly.
your teacher, even. There are people out there that can help, and they won't go
Absolutely.
silent on it either. If someone needs help, people will help you.
Right.
You never know. It could be one person
Exactly. Very true.
that could change your whole trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
This was really good. I'm hoping this helped people.
I'm just really grateful to be here and talking about it because, like I said, it's not something people want to talk about. So, it's not a happy subject. There's no medical, medical fix for it. Other. October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
Yes.
which is huge.
Yes.
I know that it's obviously a problem in our world, and but you know what? Domestic violence is right up there.
Yes.
So
It still impacts millions of people
Right,
worldwide.
exactly.
It's not just in the United States. I mean, I know I finished up my clothing line. I'm sort of rebranding more into jewelry to support those impacted by
Great.
domestic violence. And I had these custom kimonos made in India.
wow,
And these women that were making them, they were actually being abused. And that was their way in earning a wage to make the
Amazing.
kimono. So me purchasing that from them actually helped them have some money
wow,
to help to live.
wow, that is amazing.
So they hand sewn them and everything. I have pictures and everything. It just warmed my heart. I have a friend that lives in Acton that made this all happen for me. She's like an amazing fashion designer. Giving her as much credit as she needs. She probably needs more credit. She's so amazing. But that warmed my heart to be able to help them earn a wage.
That's huge. I mean, that's so great that you did that.
Yeah.
Amazing. And, you mentioned, and I've seen your website.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
very, really nicely done. And I saw my daughter Olivia on there, so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So grateful. And maybe at the event we can have a table and some people that would be, like to donate some stuff and maybe
Yes.
have the proceeds go to Live for Live. We
Absolutely.
also, Live for Live does, like this year we'll be having sweatshirts and some, workout headbands and different things like that we're selling at our booth. And it's always fun to come up with some new merchandise or, and then in the bags, when you register, if you register, the first, I forget how many, 280 people or something like that, you'll get a bag, and in it is a T-shirt as well as we'll have a flashlight in there this year, and a granola bar, or some fun things. I forget.
Awesome.
Pens are going to be in there this year. So, I mean, there's not just any bag at the Live for Live Ride Run.
Yes.
Okay,
It's customized special this year. I love it.
it's very fun, very cool.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for having another conversation
Thank
with me.
you
This
so
was
much,
great.
and thank you for sharing what you've gone through and seen, and it really means so much.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to. The more awareness that we can share, the better.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.